If you've been wanting to build a personal brand, but every time you try to figure out where to start, you end up more confused than when you began, this video is for you. Not for the person who's already posting, not for the creator who just needs to optimize what they're doing, for the person at the very beginning, the one staring at a blank page wondering, okay, where do I actually start? Because here's what most people do when they decide they want a personal brand. They go looking for answers, and what they find is a mountain of content, courses, frameworks, strategies, hours and hours of people telling them everything they need to know before they've done anything at all. And that's exactly the wrong order. You don't need to know everything before you start. You need to know 3 things in the right sequence, and then you need to actually do them. That's what this video is. 3 steps. The ones that actually matter when you're starting from zero. No fluff, no theory for theory's sake, just the sequence that moves you from I want a personal brand to I'm actually building one. Let's get into it. But before we do, let me tell you something that might sound strange coming from a channel about personal branding. Most people who fail at this don't fail because they don't know enough. They fail because they know too much and do too little. They consume, they plan, they research, and they never actually start. So right now, as we go through these 3 steps, I want you to be thinking about your answers, not hypothetically, actually. Because by the end of this video, you should have enough to take your first real step. Step 1 is this. Decide what you actually want. Not what sounds impressive, not what you think you're supposed to want. What you actually want. And I know that sounds obvious, but you would be surprised how many people skip this step entirely. They just start. They pick a niche because someone told them it was profitable. They start posting because they feel like they should. And 6 months later, they're burnt out, confused, and wondering why nothing is working. Here's why it matters. Your personal brand is not just a content strategy. It's the answer to a very specific question. What do I want people to think of when they hear my name? That question has a different answer for different people. Some people want to attract clients. Some want to build an audience. Some want to be known as an expert in their industry so opportunities come to them naturally. Some want to document a journey. Some want to create a business. None of those are wrong, but they're different, and each one leads to a different strategy, a different type of content, a different platform, a different everything. So if you don't know which one you're going for, everything else is guesswork. Here's how to figure it out. Ask yourself one question. Honestly, if this personal brand succeeds, what does my life look like 12 months from now? Be specific, not I'll be successful. What does success actually mean to you? Are you getting inbound client leads without chasing anyone? Are you recognized as the go-to person for a specific topic? Are you monetizing content? Are you speaking at events? Are you building a community? Write down the most honest answer you can, even if it's rough, even if it changes later, because a rough answer you actually have beats a perfect answer you're still planning to write. That answer becomes your compass. Every decision you make from here, every piece of content, every platform, every post, you run it through that compass first. Does this move me toward what I actually want, or is it just noise? Now let me tell you what most beginners do wrong at this step. They pick a goal that sounds good instead of one that's actually true. They say, I want to help people because it sounds noble, but really, they want to build a business. Or they say, I want to build a business because it sounds serious. But really, they just want to be recognized for something they're genuinely good at. Neither of those is wrong, but saying one when you mean the other sets you up to build the wrong thing. Be honest. The goal you're building toward shapes everything, and you can always refine it later, but you need something real to start with. So that's step 1. Decide what you actually want. Write it down, be specific, be honest. Step 2, figure out what you need to be known for. This is where most beginners either get it right immediately or spend months confused about why their brand isn't working. Here's the principle. You cannot be known for everything. Trying to be known for everything means being known for nothing. Think about that for a second. When you think about someone you know who's really good at one specific thing, a friend who everyone goes to for tech advice, or the person in your family who everyone calls when something breaks, you call them immediately when that problem comes up, right? Because they own that thing in your mind. That's what your personal brand needs to do. It needs to own something specific in someone's mind. Not many things, one thing. Now I know what you might be thinking, but I have so many interests. I'm good at multiple things. I don't want to be boxed in. I hear that. I really do. And here's the thing. You're not boxing yourself in, you're sharpening your signal. Here's what I mean. Imagine you're at a concert and every instrument is playing at full volume simultaneously. No structure, no arrangement, just everyone playing whatever they want at the same time. That's noise. Now imagine the same instruments playing together, each one in its role, each one serving the whole, and one instrument carrying the main melody. That's music. That's a signal. Your personal brand is the same. The one thing you become known for, that's the melody. Everything else can still exist. your other interests, your other skills, but they support the main thing. They don't compete with it. So how do you figure out what your one thing should be? Look at three things. First, what do you actually know well enough to teach even at a basic level? Second, what do people already come to you for advice about? And third, what connects directly to the outcome you defined in step 1, where those three things overlap? That's your thing, and I want to be clear about something. You don't have to be the world's leading expert. You don't need 10 years of experience. You need to know more than the person you're talking to, and you need to be genuinely useful to them at the level they're currently at. If you're a beginner teaching beginners, that's actually powerful, because you just went through exactly what they're going through. You remember what it felt like to not understand. That's empathy, and empathy builds trust faster than expertise alone. So step 2, define what you want to be known for. Specifically, narrowly, honestly. One thing that connects your knowledge to your desired outcome and directly serves the person you're trying to reach. Step 3, start showing up consistently. This is the step most people delay forever because they're waiting to feel ready, waiting until their content is polished enough, waiting until they've figured out every detail. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. You are never going to feel ready. Readiness isn't a feeling, it's a decision. And the creators who are building real brands right now, they made that decision before they were ready. They posted before the editing was perfect. They recorded before the audio setup was ideal. They published before they fully knew what they were doing. And something happened when they did that. They started learning things you can only learn by doing. How their voice sounds, what their audience responds to, what style of content feels natural, what topics light them up, what makes them want to quit, and what makes them want to keep going. None of that comes from research. It comes from reps. Now here's the part where I want to push back on something you've probably heard. A lot of advice out there tells you to post every day, to be everywhere, to go high volume immediately. And look, that's not wrong for everyone. But for most beginners starting with zero audience and zero systems, that advice leads to burnout in about 3 weeks. And if you burn out, nothing else matters. So here's what I actually recommend instead. Pick one platform, the one where your audience already is, the one where the format plays to your strengths, and show up there once a week with something genuinely useful, something you actually put thought into. One good thing per week beats 5 mediocre things every week, because your audience doesn't need volume. They need to trust that every time you show up, it's worth their time. That's how you build consistency that lasts. Not a sprint that burns you out in a month, a sustainable pace that compounds over time. Here's something important to understand about consistency. It's not just about frequency, it's about message frequency. What that means is every time you show up, you're reinforcing the same core belief, the same perspective, the same thing you want to be known for, over and over, in different formats, from different angles, with different examples. That's how associations are built. Think about any brand you immediately recognize. The reason you recognize them isn't because they showed up once with a really great message. It's because they showed up with that message consistently over a long period of time, until you couldn't hear their name without thinking of it. That's what you're building. Not with one video, not with one post, with every single thing you put out, all pointing at the same target. So step 3, pick your platform, set a realistic frequency you can actually sustain, and start. Not when you're ready. Now, let me bring it all together. 3 steps. That's it. Step 1, decide what you actually want. Be specific, be honest. Write it down. Step 2, define what you need to be known for. One thing, specific, useful to the exact person you're trying to reach. Step 3, start showing up consistently, pick one platform, set a sustainable pace, and reinforce the same message every single time. Simple, not easy, but simple. Here's what I want you to notice about those 3 steps. They're in a very specific order, and the order matters. Most beginners do step 3 first. They just start posting without knowing what they want, without knowing what they want to be known for, and then they wonder why the brand isn't going anywhere. The steps only work in sequence. Desired outcome first, reputation second, consistent action third. Get that order right, and everything else gets easier. Platform choice becomes obvious. Content topics become obvious. What to say and what not to say becomes obvious. The confusion most beginners feel isn't because personal branding is complicated. It's because they're trying to answer questions they haven't earned yet. Questions that only make sense after the foundational ones are answered. Start with the foundation every time. Now here's your actual homework before the next video. Write down your answers to 3 things. What do I actually want from this brand 12 months from now? What is the one thing I want to be known for? And what is one platform I'm committing to showing up on? Starting this week, don't move to the next video until you have real answers to those 3 questions. Not good answers, real ones. The kind that are slightly uncomfortable because they're actually true. Because that discomfort, that's the feeling of a real decision, and real decisions are what real brands are built on. In the next video, we're going deeper on step 2, because defining what you want to be known for is one thing. Standing out in a space where other people are already saying similar things, that requires something specific, something most beginners have never thought about. It's called a contrarian belief, and it might be the most important concept in this entire channel. See you there.